It's going to start sinking into Democrats that despite good speeches and despite lots of bravado, Hillary Clinton is a disaster. She's a disaster because of corruption. She's a disaster because of arrogance. I mean, what Trump said was right.
We're just about out.
You look at how they treated General Petraeus, and you look at what she did with her emails, and any other circumstance, she'd be going to jail, not the White House.
And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. That, of course, was Newt Gingrich appearing yesterday on ABC's This Week. And while I don't know if jail is in Mrs. Clinton's future, Hillary is facing considerable pressure as she continues to trend downward in the polls. Indeed, with congressional investigations looming and union support unclear, Secretary Clinton may be opening the door to a few new candidates on the Democratic side. Here's what Mark Stein had to say while appearing with Neil Cavuto on Fox News.
Hillary, I think, is a terrible candidate. She's got all the money, she's got all the cronies, but she herself is a stiff and a bore. And Democrats like a romance.
Apparently, it's not just Trump that can be rather direct in his assessment of people. All right, Joe, I mean, is Hillary's personality at the heart of her problems, or is it something else?
It's at the heart of her problems, absolutely. Yes, she is untrustworthy, but she's just so stiff. And I agree with Mark. So phony. Remember she went down to South Carolina and said, I've been coloring my hair for years. Yeah, and she does the same speech in New York, and then the accent completely changes. There's just something unlikable about her.
Yeah, I can't deny that that's true. Heather, look, I mean, people who I know who know Hillary well, to a person say she's a very nice woman. Sense of humor, the whole thing. But you don't see it when she goes out and campaigns. Can a person be elected president of the United States if they can't show their inner warmth?
I mean, we'll find out, right? But I don't think so. I think that you've got to have charisma. People have to like you to want you to be president, to elect you to be president. She does not have her husband's charisma, and to get over the untrustworthiness problem, she has to have some kind of warmth. I think it explains why people say that she doesn't feel for them and their problems, because she just doesn't come across as a caring person.
So, Bill, I mean, that may well be true, but isn't that putting the presidency of the United States or running for it on a par with running for a high school student council? It's who you like.
Done, right? Come on, let's quit pretending.
It's really true, isn't it? It's really true. I set you up with the question because I agree with you on the answer. When we vote for presidents, we do it based on, do you want to have a beer with that person?
Yeah, do you like them? I mean, her problem's magnified by the fact that she's married to the single most charming politician of our time. Right. That man can do and has done anything and gotten away with it. And everybody's totally like, he's a really nice guy.
All right. While Bernie Sanders has captured a lot of attention and a lot of Democratic love, many believe he will not be able to topple Clinton as the top vote getter in the primaries. So here's the big question. Has the time come now to consider Vice President Joe Biden and maybe a few others as contenders? While the Vice President hasn't been forthcoming about any serious interest in the 2016 race, today we see that Josh Alcorn, one of Beau Biden's former senior advisors and top fundraisers, has joined the pack dedicated to drafting Biden. Now, many insiders are saying that this is a pretty big sign. We also heard yesterday via an article in the Washington Post, that Beau Biden's dying wish was that his father run for president. So, Heather, is Uncle Joe going to jump into the race? What do you think?
Listen, I hope so. I like him. I think he'd be a better president than Hillary. He's got 36 years in the Senate. He's known for reaching across the aisle, which is something that we need right now. But he has an uphill battle. He's got to deal with the fact that he hasn't raised a whole lot of money. Hillary's raised $46 million. He has to deal with the fact that many of his top aides went to Hillary's campaign with the assumption.
It is a problem. I mean, it shouldn't be late, but it is late. A lot of the supporters that Biden has in terms of staff, in terms of money, they have already committed. Can you get them back?
All things that could be fixed. And quite frankly, you can get message out a lot better now with social media and the fact that I just don't think that grassroots sort of campaign is as important as it used to be. Bernie Sanders is showing that he doesn't have any money and not much of a staff, and look what he's doing
Except that
alone.
Bernie Sanders isn't, we're all impressed by the campaign that Bernie Sanders has put on. He's been great, but none of us believe he's going to win enough primaries to get the nomination.
But Joe Biden could do that.
Well,
think
Joe Biden
absolutely.
could. But it's not just Joe Biden, because this weekend again in the New York Times, columnist Maureen Dowd said that Howard Schultz, the chairman and CEO of Starbucks, is also being urged to challenge Hillary Clinton for the Democratic presidential nomination. Now, Schultz is a rags to riches story in America. While he did gain some negative notoriety during his Race Together campaign at Starbucks, that kind of flopped, he does have the respect of corporate America and caffeine addicts like me everywhere. So, Joe, you take this one first. Is this the Democratic Trump? Is this somebody who we should also be taking seriously?
It's a sign, Rick, that support for Hillary Clinton among Democrats is so soft. They are begging for somebody else to run. I haven't heard of Schultz even being considered before this, but now they're trying to draft people. Joe, you run. Howard, you run. Someone, you run, because we want anybody but Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I don't know, Heather.
I've actually heard the name bandied about,
Yeah,
and with
I
the
have
Race
too,
Together
actually.
thing, and then he had that other program going on right now where he's got young people getting jobs. He is a lot like Trump. You said, is he the Democratic Trump? He is not a politician. He believes in what he says. I think that we've sat at this table and said, who else is there? It may be someone from the private sector like this who's going to step up.
Is it
Look,
is it Schultz for president?
I don't know. The guy could get people to pay $5 for a cup of coffee.
Quite a
That
few
speaks
people.
to it.
Quite a few
Exactly.
people.
It speaks to his salesmanship.
It's the one thing everybody seems to agree on is there's going to have to be more candidates coming into the Democratic.
It would make it
would
interesting. It
definitely
would make it
make it
fun.
But with all of this talk, we can't forget Hillary is so far ahead. I don't know if it can be done, but we'll see. What do you think? Should the vice president enter the race? Should Howard Schultz from Starbucks enter the race? Does there need to be more candidates? Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments to let us know. And coming up, we're going to talk again about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who can't tell us the difference between Democrats and socialists.